Alright, controversial topic time everybody, and today's video is going to be about ethno nationalism, or rather the idea of an ethno state in particular. Now, what is ethno nationalism? Now this is the Wikipedia definition, and yeah, I know, it's the Wikipedia definition, but it's very neutral and I think it's a very good summary for what I want to talk about today, so this is what I'm using. I know, sorry guys. Ethnic nationalism, also known as ethno nationalism, is a form of nationalism wherein the nation is defined in terms of ethnicity. The central theme of ethnic nationalists is that nations are defined by a shared heritage, which usually includes a common language, a common faith, and a common ethnic ancestry. It also includes ideas of culture shared between members of the group and with their ancestors. However, it is different from a purely cultural definition of the nation, which allows people to become members of a nation by cultural assimilation, and from a purely linguistic definition, according to which the nation consists of all speakers of a specific language. Now that's the definition of the term we're using in this video. Once again, sorry for using Wikipedia. Now, am I against it inherently? Not really. If you want to advocate for it, that's fine, freedom of speech, you do you. I'm personally not for it because of the situation I currently live in and who I am. But again, if you want to go and make a commune, hypothetically speaking, in my country or in America where it would be much more feasible, I'll get into the minutiae in a minute, and you want to have a little commune with all your white nationalist or black nationalist or Asian nationalist friends and have your own little ethnic nationalist thing, go ahead. That's fine. Because my thing is this: if you don't force it upon other people, if you do not force it on a whole country, which isn't an ethno-state and is, well, for want of a better term, a multicultural society, or multi-ethnic, which would be better, that's fine, go ahead. Or hell, better still, if you've got the means, you've got the money, or buy a plot of land somewhere that's not owned by a country, again this is hypothetical, and make your own state. I mean, if it was feasible, hypothetically speaking, go ahead. Likewise, I wouldn't go around telling countries that are ethno-states to import other peoples. I mean, firstly, I'm not a citizen of that country, so my opinion shouldn't really matter, and I think it would be, below me to do that. It would be rude. I can't go around and tell people what to do in their own countries. I'm not like the Japanese when, on the one hand, they're saying that, we don't want too much immigration in here, but America and the West should bring in more immigrants. By the way, go watch Louis Laveau's video on that. It's quite an interesting conundrum we've got there. So no, I wouldn't do that. Inherently, I'm not against it. I'm not for it either. But my problem is when you're trying to force it onto other people, like in the country, like my country, Britain. We're a multi-ethnic country, we have been for hundreds of years, and slowly but surely I've seen this ethnic nationalism from the alt-right slightly grow. They're still very small, they don't have any power, and there's two strands in regards to that. There's the people who advocate for it peacefully, and that is, like I said before, the hypothetical situations, although there's some middle ground in between which I'll get into. And there's also the people who want to force it, and they're the people I have an issue with, people who want to force it. And then also those people in the middle ground, those who want to force it but do it through peaceful means, which, as we know, is probably highly unlikely. Now, the problem with my hypothetical situation is this: it's currently illegal in my country to do so. I don't know what it's like in any other country, but in my country, you can't do that. And that's a problem for them. Not for me, but for them. And I have a feeling that if it were to happen, if they were to create a little hamlet or village and that became a state, that probably would solve the issue. But then again, it would get too big and it was like maybe coming into contact with my country. Because the problem is, we're too small. We live on an island, or a group of islands, and there's not a lot of land to go around to create other states, sadly. So in America, it would be more feasible, or in areas where there's no real government or people. So there's a problem with that scenario. It's just unfeasible. Likewise, the people who want to do it peacefully are unlikely to succeed because most of the West don't agree with them. And again, there's the pragmatic problems, which I'm going to get into. And in the end, they're probably going to have to settle with either moving to a place where it is a ethno-state, or potentially having to just grim and bear it. Now, here's an example of the people who I do not like, who are trying to force it. And this is a clip from Tara McCarthy. Now, The problem is I can't find the actual source anywhere. I went on her channel and most of her videos have disappeared. So the stream that this comes from is now gone. So the full context is lost. And it was also uploaded by people who I think are kind of allied with her or like what she does. And it's only 2 minutes long and I'm worried about the context. I don't know if it cuts out when her point actually ends or not. Only, I think this kind of sums up her point, but she might not have gone through the whole thing. So bear all that in mind. I'm not trying to take her out of context. This is what's been floating around on Twitter, and I think it kind of sums up, in my opinion, that side of the argument.
All right, lots of people have been asking me this, so I'll answer it for you. How do you physically deport the millions of non-whites? And if they refuse, what then? Kill them? Okay, so this is obviously a concern that comes up when people talk about ethno-nationalism. First of all, we absolutely have a right to deport all illegal residents by any means necessary, including threatening them at the point of a gun and killing them if they resist. Okay? That is the situation with invaders. If someone has invaded our country illegally entered our country, we have the right to remove them by any means necessary. Okay? And now there are different situations. Now we have, then there are people who have resident visas. Okay, so we have a resident visa, but they are not a citizen. So they are legally resident in the country, but they are not a citizen. What we can do is we can revoke their visas and then ask them to leave. And if they do not leave, they are now legally resident in the country and we can remove them by any means necessary. And now you move on to people who are citizens, who have either been naturalized after spending about 5 years in the country, who are anchor babies whose parents came into the country illegally, had them in the hospital in the US, and then they became US citizens by default. And people who were born in the country of legally resident or legal citizens in the US, for example. So I believe that we should revoke the anchor baby citizen status because it was acquired through unlawful means, and thus, you know, that's an ill-gotten gain, and thus they are illegals, so we should deport them. As for people who are naturalized citizens, it may be possible to revoke the naturalized citizenship in some cases. As for people who are citizens, who were born of citizens in the United States, I believe we need to incentivize them financially to move out of the United States.
Now, in that first part, that's fine. Illegals should be kicked out because they're criminals. The second part, I have an issue because she's basically arguing for the sins of the father and the mother to be punished on the kid. The kid did not ask to be born. The kid was, you know, born through a circumstance not of their making. I think it would be unfair to remove that kid's citizenship because their mother and father are criminals. But of course, I think that depends on the type of person that these people are. Now, if these are illegals who haven't committed any other crime other than illegal immigration and have these kids, and they've been productive members of society, I don't know the numbers on that. Let's just say if that was the case, I would probably go for leniency. I would go for amnesty on that scenario. I would not kick them out. If they've not committed any more crimes, they've been productive, which is easier said than done, than mostly aren't. However, if they've been committing crimes and they've been causing problems, well, then I would be, you know, open to that. But again, I don't know. I don't know what to think on that. I'm still deciding on that. But then she gets into the visa thing and the people who are naturalised and the people who have natural citizenship. Like me, I was born here and I was raised here, despite being mixed race. She would rather take the people whose visas are currently running off, that she wants to revoke them, even though we have a legal responsibility to honour that unless they break the law. So she's going to remove law-abiding residents' visas because of this ethno-state thing and remove them and kick them out. And then with these naturalised citizens, she's going to try and find a way to revoke their citizenship that they rightfully gained, that they worked towards for years and years and years. Maybe these people might be elderly or middle-aged, where they've worked long and hard for many, many years. They've been here probably longer than her and I. Are going to have their citizenships revoked because they don't fit in with the ethno state. How are you going to do that? I don't know. Legally, I can't see anything that I've looked up where that could be the case. And what happens if they say no? They have a right to say no. They're citizens. If they've committed no crimes, if they've not betrayed the country, then that's kind of a immoral thing to do against those people. Their citizenship shouldn't be revoked because of that. And then what about me? And Tara as well, because this last bit of hers also refers to her. She's apparently got Irish citizenship. And as well, she's mixed race. She's got a bit of Indian and a bit of Jewish in her, as well as Irish and English, which is similar to me without the Jewish stuff. So what about us? Why should I be given a financial incentive, whatever that is, to leave the country I was born in, the only culture I've ever known, and take root elsewhere? I can't go anywhere else. I don't have any other citizenship. I mean, she would say to me, go back to Trinidad. Well, I don't have Trinidadian citizenship. I don't know the culture there. I'm kind of clueless. The only real thing I know about Trinidad is the country and some figures who are technically even British. Like, the only Trinidadian thing that's famous that I know of is Billy Ocean, and he's technically British. So there's that. That's forcing it on people. That's forcing the ethno state. And it cuts off at the moment where I have a feeling like she ignored the bit where this question was asked about what happens if they refuse. I have a feeling if someone like me were to refuse to leave, I would probably be dealt with violence. I mean, that's what she said. I mean, if need be, violence can be used. If it can be used on an illegal, then there's no reason why they can't use it against me, who refuses to remove themselves from the country. Personally, I think if I was to refuse, I would probably be put in prison, because there's nowhere they can deport me to. So I would be put in prison. The state would have to forcefully remove me from my home, and that's authoritarianism. By that point, forced ethno nationalism, thing that I just can't agree with. I don't necessarily agree with the peaceful one either, but that's besides the point. I can live with somebody peacefully advocating for it, but she's not advocating for that. And that's why I think realistically it'll never be achieved, because I think people can see that part of it. They can see, you know, even though the people who are more peaceful about it, they can see how it just wouldn't work in Western democracies. Unless you make your own country or your own state, if it's legally possible. There's literally no other way it can come about other than force. And I think ultimately that's why I'm not for it. I'm all for countries deciding who they want in and who they want out. Wait. I'm all for countries controlling their own borders. But I'm not against them. I am all for countries deciding. I'm all for countries to decide who they want in, who they want out. However, when they're forcefully removing citizenship from people who've committed no crime other than existing, then I have a problem. And I think forced ethno-nationalism is that. And that's why I ultimately can't get with that kind of programme. That's just my thing on it. I hope I was fair. I hope I was trying to be reasonable with you guys on this. And until next time, it's been your boy. I'll see you later.